Hello, everyone. I'll be right back.
How you doing, Henry?
Good. Mateo, how's it going?
It's great. I spent 6 hours in an auto shop today.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Car problem?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was actually trying to fix my car for three or 4 hours today. It's brutally cold out there. Yeah.
I had to make sure my dog did not have access. At 7 o'clock every night, she goes nuts. It's really
It's because she knows you're going to some meetings. She doesn't want
no more meetings. She pulls pillows off the couch. She does all kinds of things just to get my attention. Pillows off the couch, and then she bites them and swings them around.
Yeah. Yeah, she looked like a very energetic dog.
She is. And she's almost 8 years old, but
Wow.
she loves to run and play.
My dog hasn't wanted to go out
Just about.
because of the gunshots that she hears, and she's terrified and won't go outside.
Yeah. Yeah. Roxy too. She hates the gunshots.
Yeah.
Don't get me started.
Yeah, you have a lot of it, Mateo.
Um,
Oh, go ahead.
here. I think so. Alan said he's not able to make it tonight. So I believe we have everybody who's going to be here, and we do have a quorum.
Great.
All right. So I will call this meeting of the CPC to order. Feel like I just saw you all, but here we are 2 days later. It is 7:01, and this meeting is being recorded. All members are participating remotely. First item on the agenda is to review and vote on the minutes from December 5th. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of December 5th.
And I'll second.
Any discussion?
No, they were good. Thanks very much, Elaine. Sure.
I have one question. In item 3C, which is the Knotweed Coalition, what is the word Dewey at the start of that bullet point?
Who knows?
Okay.
Let's see.
Do we just delete that?
Dewey and 3. Where are you? 3,
See?
3C.
3C.
3C. Oh, they are the Dewey Knotweed Coalition. That's what they called themselves.
No, we are the subduing
Subduing.
Knotweed Coalition. I'm trying to find the document so I can look at it.
Subduing. I heard Dewey not. Okay. Hey, you know,
It's like the Dewey Decimal System. It's the Dewey. It's
I didn't know.
Dewey
I
Knotweed
just,
system.
hey,
Well, if Dewey could defeat Truman, then Dewey can defeat Knotweed.
There you go.
subduing. I put subduing in there. So sorry.
Is there any other discussion on the minutes?
Nope.
All right, seeing none, we will vote on these. I'll call the roll. Farrell.
Aye.
Geddes.
Hi.
Reed.
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
Vallejo.
Aye.
And Gallo. Aye. Okay, next item on the agenda is to discuss and vote on determinations of eligibility. So we received 5 determinations, which is great because I don't believe we
Yeah.
received any last year.
Yeah, it's fabulous.
Great.
And I think the year before that, we received a number, but several were ruled not eligible. And I think we only ended up going with 1 or 2. I think that the best way to do this is we'll just take these in the order in which which they were sent in, starting with the Historical Commission's determination of eligibility request for the foundation base for the Town Common Guide Board. Henry, I don't know if you want to say anything, or I guess I can just open the. I'll defer to Henry on this one.
Well, it's pretty straightforward. Steve Smolsky recommended it. It's definitely enhance the preservation of the guide board. So that yeah, I mean it requires the kind of skills that we don't have, and in part the buildings committee is going to be involved. So.
And Henry, where'd the estimate come from?
I believe that's Mateo, did you come up with that, or was that
That estimate is from me doing some research into the cost of materials and labor for a roughly 6 foot by 6 foot thing. So I have, because this is a small project, I've inquired with the highway department if this is something they could do. Obviously, that would reduce the cost and mean that the historical commission would not have to go out to bid for it. So the cost is truly just an estimate at this point. But like Henry said, this is in keeping with what Steve Smolsky recommended to keep ground moisture from going up into the guide board. Leslie Bracebridge pointed out that for most of the lifespan of this object, it sat on a stone foundation, which you can still see at the corner of the town common. They didn't move the foundation, but they moved the guide board back. And so the guide board has been just sitting on soil, sucking up groundwater. So step 1 of the preservation is preparing the site to make sure it is no longer doing that.
Well, it certainly completes the project and is an eligible cost as far as I can see.
Are there any other comments on this DOE? I'll entertain a motion on it.
I move that we accept, what are we saying? We accept the determination of eligibility is, how do you want me to word it?
We find the committee finds the project as described in the determination of eligibility to be eligible for CPA funds.
There you go. So
Oh,
moved.
Second.
All right. Any further discussion? All right. Seeing none, I'll call the roll. Farrell,
Aye.
Geddes,
aye?
Reed,
Aye.
Wilson,
Aye.
Leo,
Aye.
and Gallo, aye. All right. The second DOE that we received is the historic gravestone restoration at West Cemetery Phase 2, which I think, strictly speaking, should be called Phase 3, since there was a phase like back in 2015 or something, when I went back and looked at the votes. But this is Phase 2 for the portion that we approved several, was it like 2 or 3 years ago, I think. Is there anybody here from I don't see anybody from the Cemetery Commission. Is there any discussion, any comments from the committee?
Looks eligible to me.
Yeah.
In there.
Been there, done that.
Yeah,
Do it again.
very familiar.
I'll make a motion that we approve the determination of eligibility for the historic gravestone restoration at West Cemetery and deem it eligible for CPA funds.
Second.
Any additional discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to the vote. Farrell,
Aye.
Geddes,
Aye.
Reed,
Aye.
Wilson,
Aye.
Leo,
Aye.
and Gallo, aye. Oh, I think I went a little out of order. I'm sorry. I was going through the alphabetical order instead of the order on the agenda. That's my mistake. All right, let's jump back. School to library trail. Is there anybody
Yep.
here?
Me.
Yes.
So this is a trail that we want to put in that keeps kids safe going from the school to the new library site, and it would go through the woods. It's going to take a lot of community effort to blaze the trails and stuff and to make sure that we have easements correctly. But the major part of the cost is going to be in putting up possibly both crosswalks and maybe even, I'd love to put up blinking lights, but at least some sort of marker so that people are aware that kids will be crossing the street. There'll be 2 streets they have to cross.
Has the recreation committee already reached out to like police and highway department about those crossings?
Yes. Yep.
And have you reached out to the property owners?
Yes.
You have, okay.
How many property owners are there, Elaine?
It's Gail Fleischiger, but she said that there's a workaround that she knows of, and she and I are trying to get together to discuss it. And then UMass actually has a trail from Pelham Hill that goes there. And so I'm trying to figure out who that is, but I'm sure that they would be okay with using that trail.
So is it just Gail's property that goes all the way through? Or-
No, it's Gail's property and it goes to the cemetery. And from the cemetery, it goes to, I'm not sure. I'm not sure whose it goes to, but she had mapped it out and said that it was a doable thing. So we're gonna get together and discuss it before I put in the formal request.
Great.
Did you look for wetlands at all along there?
Not me, man. I don't look for wetlands. Yes.
Beth wants to do that.
I'll do it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Just,
we're gonna,
just
yeah,
wanna
we're
make
going to
sure.
need to, because we're gonna go through it's the back end of the library site, so I'm hoping there aren't any wetlands there. I know what the wetlands that are on that side.
Yeah.
So, I'm hoping that we can avoid any wetland areas there. Because the trail is pretty well marked, so I'll check it out. But I will definitely be in touch with you. Don't worry.
Yeah, I don't mind walking around in there either looking, and as long as you have enough space on the property to maybe change the trail a little bit to go around wetlands.
Yep. Yep.
Then you're all set.
Mm-hmm.
Can I just ask one more question about the wetlands? Would they have to be delineated, Beth, for an application? Because over multiple properties, or would the Conservation Commission kind of walkthrough be sufficient?
Well, I think I can definitely walk through and sort of help you, guide you as to where a better spot would be for the trail so that you're not going right through a wetland that would obviously then require an application with the Conservation Commission. I guess the goal would be to try to avoid it right from the beginning. Because if you get close enough, then really you should file with the Conservation Commission. So to
Mhm.
save money, the
Sure.
goal would probably be to try to stay as far away as possible.
And for a more functional trail. I mean, trails through
Right.
wet ground are not
Right.
great.
Yep.
Okay. So as far as the question of eligibility goes,
Mhm.
we have this application. So this is for a trail from the elementary school through the cemetery to the library, which sounds like a Tim Burton movie. So as far as eligibility, any
It's
thoughts?
eligible. Yep.
Yeah.
It's creating.
Use open space recreation, passive rec.
Mhm.
I'm just curious about the cost. Is that an estimate of some kind?
Yes,
Yep.
it's an estimate. It's mostly for the street markings. And a lot of it is in kind.
Who does street markings like that? Is that a municipal, like the highway department does that, or does the state need to do that?
The state does it on state roads, and we do it on town roads.
Yeah. We have that equipment. I know what Amherst has in terms of the machines that they use to paint. Shutesbury's got some stuff.
Yeah,
No,
they don't. Yeah, we
no, we
contract the
just
painting.
either go out there with a paintbrush or borrow it. No, but we do the roads when we resurface the roads. So it's
Yeah.
a matter of borrowing it.
Mhm. Okay.
So I'll make a
And
motion to approve the Recreation Commission's determination of eligibility for the school to library trail.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to a vote. Farrell,
Aye.
Geddes,
Aye.
Reed,
Aye.
Wilson,
Aye.
Vallejo,
Aye.
and Gallo, aye. All right. Town plan for managing knotweed. Subduing knotweed, not Dewey knotweed.
Hey, hey, anybody
Dewey
who wants to
knotweed.
take over, you just go right ahead.
Pretty sure I went to college with Dewey knotweed. I remember. I'm a nice guy. All right. Is there somebody from the applicant?
Yes, Mary,
Yes.
Joe, and I are both here.
Great. Would you want to tell us just briefly a bit about this eligibility application or determination of eligibility? Excuse me.
Well, we feel like the town should have a townwide plan on how to deal with this particular invasive. We know that there's a lot of invasives, but this particular invasive becomes a monoculture. And as it spreads, it, just takes over areas and wipes out any native plants in that area. Just it gets 10, 12 feet high, and nothing else can grow in there until you get rid of it. And we are concerned about native pollinators and what to do. And as the Subduing Knotweed Coalition, where we've been around for a year, it's an ad hoc group of people who Mary Jo runs the meetings. We have a meeting once a month, and we talk about different ways that we can help people understand what knotweed is and try to educate about that. And we are concerned about the way knotweed spreads. A lot of it is spread through town mowing, and it's possible that it spreads through when the plow comes through. I think that's less likely. And for the last number of years, we have had the person who has been in charge of the the highway department, Steve has been very concerned about the not spreading the knotweed so they don't mow it. But it pops up. It sends long runners and it keeps popping up, and we need to have a way to deal with it, and not have it on the shoulders of sort of our group, but have it be a plan that the town is aware, that will help educate people in town about it and what can be done about it. Mary Jo, do you want to add some things to that? I see her on there, but I don't. She has her voice off. Okay. So yeah, I mean, we have done a presentation to the select board. We have done a presentation to the Conservation Commission, and we feel like this is a next appropriate step because we ourselves we don't even take dues, you know, we're just people who are volunteering to belong to this group, and we've done a lot of research on getting rid of, there's tons of crowdsourced information on getting rid of knotweed. So we don't need to reinvent the wheel that way, but it would be helpful to have the town have a plan to deal with it going forward.
So, so I've been in touch with Brian Collier, who's an expert on knotweed and does this type of planning. And it seemed that it would be sensible for the town to work with a professional to develop a plan, as opposed to sort of oh, let's try to get this patch, let's try to do this thing, but to have an overarching plan about how to deal with this menace. So we feel pretty confident that working with the town and with our help, we can put together a plan. It will be important and difficult to make a plan that's, you know, viable and doable and financially doable and everything. So it won't be necessarily an easy undertaking, but numerous people have, you know, volunteered to help with this project. The cost estimate is hopefully high. We made it a little higher. We talked to Brian about, and we've worked with Brian before. I mean, we're certainly willing to look at other people to do this plan, but about that, and he kind of gave us some sort of step by step. So we kind of included the whole thing in the price. And it hopefully would be less, but we wanted to make sure that we had enough to cover, you know, sort of a long-term plan, because this is going to be a long-term thing that the town deals with. And as you can see in the report, I think it clearly marks as eligible, particularly that you have in your goals as protecting open space and natural resources from invasive species, page 5B, goal 6. And then it also, the criteria that you put out, we listed A, B, C, D, I, J, and L of your criteria as being part of what we would be under, so that so it seems like we have a strong case for meeting the criteria. That said, I think as important is the, you know, the viability of doing this plan, putting it through, working with the town. All those things will take a lot of effort, and we are certainly open and hopeful of guidance from anyone who feels like they can, you know, contribute to making this a a viable and successful project.
So I just want to, first of all, thank you for the specificity of the items in the community preservation plan that you address here in terms of the general criteria and the specific criteria for open space projects. I think that's extremely helpful. And I also appreciate that this is a project geared at developing a plan, right? As opposed to sort of asking for money to go out and just start doing stuff right away. I think that's really
Right.
important. I do know that there are many dozens of other towns and cities around Massachusetts that use CPA funding for invasive plant mitigation plans. And, you know, it seems to me to be pretty clearly eligible. I think that once you start moving towards the application phase, it would be helpful to know, you know, what is the funding in terms of the details of the budget? What is this funding specifically for? Is this hiring a consultant? Is this specific educational outreach? You know, as well as are there supporting entities in the town, other committees, boards?
Right, as of, I think it was, I don't know if it was yesterday, was the open
Yesterday.
space committee meeting, but they voted 3-0 to support us in that, so they would also be a co-signer on that now, so we
Yeah.
really need a committee from the town.
Yeah, that's because that satisfies that criteria in the community preservation plan, the general criteria J, or yeah, 1J. It sounds so legal when I say it like that. But showing community support by having, you know, leveraging a town body to support it. And then the other thing that I would sort of suggest thinking about for the full application, obviously you don't need it at this point, is traditionally the CPA has been favorable towards projects that leverage some kind of matching funding, either from another town body or from an outside source. It's not a requirement, but it is one of those parts of the general criteria. So
So,
those are my
so one of the things that might be possible, but I don't know, is in-kind work by the highway department. Would that be in consideration of leveraging?
yeah. So in kind, so labor from the highway department would constitute some leveraged funding. In kind volunteer labor would also. So if you're
Okay.
Okay,
sort of
that's
Yeah,
good to know.
yeah,
like map the location of
right, exactly.
those kinds of things would be, you would want to have that in the budget as value that's added to your project.
Okay. Okay, so just so I understand, so we might put it in as a budget that says, let's say, and I'm just making up these numbers, but let's say, you know, $12,000, and then we would go out and sort of maybe estimate that it would cost $2,000 to map, and then we would write in kind $2,000 mapping volunteers. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, like if you were to envision a scenario in which you had to hire a professional consultant to come in and do that, what would that labor cost? And obviously, when you're working with volunteers, the cost is going to be less than if you are working with a professional.
Right.
But what is the offset basically between not doing that and instead turning to community volunteers, knowing that, you know, there's going to be a difference in maybe the quality of the work they do, but it's still, you know, it's
Right.
valuable.
Okay. All right. Okay. 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 And then one of the things that we quite didn't understand, and this is really just given that we don't understand a lot about how town works, but it was sort of referred to when Elaine and Beth were talking about the trail, which sounds wonderful, by the way. In that, so down the road, say you needed to get permits for say conservation determination of eligibility, I think it's called. Is that what it's called? No,
Sort
that's
of,
not what
yeah,
it's
go
called.
ahead. It's okay.
What's it called, Beth?
Determination of applicability.
Applicable.
Applicability, yeah.
Okay. Well, for what, like for the Conservation Commission, is that?
Yeah,
right.
there's that and there's notices of intent.
Oh, okay.
Different
So
applications.
there's money involved with like, so if the town is actually doing it, does the town pay the town to do it? Like, how does that work internally?
Well, I would think so. It seems like, so this application is really for the plan.
Right,
And then once that all gets sort of figured out and you've identified areas that you want to do and maybe you even have advice from the plan and from the consultant, how you're going to deal with the not wait at different locations.
right.
I think then there may be a question of, okay, now where's the money to actually do the work, which would mean like maybe you're going to be excavating with an excavator, or maybe you're going to be using herbicides and stuff and you have to pay for those. I think that's when the permitting would come into, like that would be combined together, you know, like how much money are we going to need to do the permitting and then and also to do the construction.
Right.
And then yeah, how's that going to work working with the town? Like if it's all work that's in the right of way, then it does fall under the town. I don't know. That's how I see it. Is this phase is the is
Okay,
sort of
we
the
can talk,
planning
we
and
can talk,
investigating?
we can talk about that offline. But yeah, so if you vote to make this eligible, then we'll probably have a fair amount of questions that we'll want to check in with you.
Well, it seems to me like what Beth is suggesting also is that that's something for the next phase of this project after the
Right,
after the plan has been-
right.
Absolutely, yeah.
That makes sense.
because you would still need to do those things, right? Getting a CPA grant doesn't mean that you get to ignore any of the other
Oh, of course.
regulatory laws. But I don't see how developing a plan would you know, as it's described, at least in this determination request, would not. I don't see how this would contradict any. Maybe I'm missing something, but it doesn't seem to contradict any regulations or bylaws or
Okay,
Oh, it's just almost like a study. I think it's great.
just information gathering. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had just one comment because as I was sitting here, I was just scanning through the other communities that have used CPA money for mostly for removal, eradication, as opposed to plans. So I think you just need to be aware that the categories for CPA are open space, historic, recreation, and housing. And so when you're talking about what the plan is going to focus on, it really needs to, like open space, is the side of the road considered open space?
Right.
The historic, like somebody had, stuff at town hall. We have a big problem with knotweed at our town hall, sort of all around, and that's a historic building. So it would almost, fall under, preservation or rehabilitation,
yeah,
the town hall. That that's the only thing that makes me a little bit concerned.
so I think we would point out that that knotweed knows no boundaries.
Right.
So what happens is if you don't get it on the road, it moves through to a culvert and then it moves into the river. If you don't get it on the road, then it moves through into an historic building. So
Right.
The thing about knotweed is you can't just say, I'm going to take care of it at the town hall, because that's not going to really stop it. It'll come back, it'll come through. What you really need is a comprehensive plan. And frankly, what you really need is even bigger plan than Shutesbury because it knows no boundaries. But I think we would make the argument that it is open space because all these things, for example, culvert and infrastructure kind of issues that not we can destroy and cause problems with. And all those things, if you don't get it in the roadway, you're going to end up with it on the river. You're going to end up with it at a historical building, so that open space has to be thought of broadly when you're looking at something that's this invasive.
Yeah, I just want to understand for CPA purposes that, and that's something maybe, Matteo, we should have a conversation with Stuart. Just
Yeah,
I don't know if you
would be
talked to him
happy.
already.
I would be happy to reach out to Stuart about it. I mean, I do think that, looking at the data bank, you know, looking for projects that have addressed invasives, I do see a number that deal with plans. That said, just because other towns have used CPA money in that way is not
Right.
a determination that it's legal to do that. This is something that Stuart has talked to us about in the past, that this is, for those of you who are not or unclear on this, Stuart Saginaw is the executive director of the Community Preservation Coalition. His advice in the past has been, the database is useful to see what other towns have done, but just because other towns have done a certain thing doesn't mean that it's technically legal. I mean, I do see, looking for invasives, I do see other towns that have used open space funding and recreation funding for plan development. But I would agree that, reaching out to the coalition wouldn't be a bad idea about this.
Yeah, just a lot of it's mentioned on conservation land. It's town water bodies. So that's, yeah. I just want to make sure we're
Yeah,
covered.
yeah. And how would we access that database?
You can go to the Community Preservation Coalition.
Okay.
It's
Communitypreservation.org.
communitypreservation.org, and it's a great database. So you can just look up projects, and then it will give you, this whole lists
So if
from
you go to
communities all over. But as Matteo has said, just because this has been done doesn't mean it's, you can do it. But the guy who's head of the coalition is just, is a great resource. It'd probably be best if Matteo made that contact, since he's talked to Stuart before, just to see if there's any.
So would it behoove us to wait for you, Matteo, to make that contact before we put effort into applying? You know what I mean?
So we can, yeah, I mean, I'm happy to reach out to him. I can email him tonight, or, try to give him a call tomorrow. I prefer to email him so that it's in writing.
Yeah.
And, certainly let you know about what the response is, and then you can make a decision from that point about whether you want to pursue the application. Because even if, I don't want to speak on Rita's behalf, but I think the idea here is that even if we decide as a committee that this seems eligible to us, this is based on our
Right. Sure.
our estimation. If he comes back and says, here are the legal reasons why it's not, then that would supersede. At that point, if
Right.
you try to submit a full application, the committee would have to say, we can't present this to town meeting.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
All
And,
right.
and basically, Matteo, you're going to be presenting our application to him to say,
Yeah.
is this?
Yeah, I would essentially just send him the determination that you submitted to us, and
Okay.
I would also, explain to him that we're at this point just determining eligibility and not advisability.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Well, thank you. We appreciate that.
So should we vote on this
We
even?
We could
before.
approve contingent, right? Could we do like a contingent vote?
Yeah.
Approve contingent upon confirmation from the Community Preservation Coalition that this is an eligible. I mean, they might just narrow it down. They might say, you know, it's eligible, but it has to be a particular
Right.
focus. Because it has been done before, but if you look at most of these projects, they are in conservation land, town-owned land,
Right.
riverfront, that sort of thing.
That
So,
makes sense.
but you know, we have places in town. We have that, you know, West Quabbin. I can't remember what that parcel down on Pelham Hill Road, which
Mhm.
is now town-owned, that has a big infestation of
Right.
knotweed, you know, and maybe if it was more limited, but the plan could have application to other parts of town, if you know what I mean, where
Right.
Well,
So I have a question, Rita. Do you know the spot on Pelham Hill? I know Kestrel Trust is planning on putting in, do you know how close that is to that patch of knotweed? I
it's
really
not,
don't.
Kestrel's not going to do it. The
Yeah.
Conservation
Commission is, yeah, we put up some money. So Kestrel, so, you know, they put the funding towards purchasing that property, but it's the towns to put in the little parking area, and we don't have any.
The Conservation Commission, we're working on it.
Mm.
Scott Kahn's been working with Kestrel. They've been sketching it out. They got a quote. They're really moving forward and doing the parking area. How close it is to the knotweed, I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I just had this feeling that it was close to that, and then what do you do with that if it's near? Yeah, anyway, I guess
Yeah.
Yeah.
so I mean, just to clarify a bit, you know, the idea behind a town plan is for it to be the whole town, including, you know, I would hope that there would be advice for both privately owned property and town-owned property, that it wouldn't just be sort of a piecemeal, because that's not really an effective way to control knotweed. I mean, I think the idea behind a town plan is for it to be broad enough to say, hey, you know, not that we can tell everybody they have to do something with knotweed, but that we can, you know, make suggestions to say, I'm just speculating, but suggestions to private property owners to put out information on what private property owners should do. You know, I think it would be a mistake to go through this
Yeah,
process.
I get all of that, Mary Jo, but this is CPA money, and we
Okay.
have to conform to the statute. And
Okay.
we will be challenged, I guarantee you,
Mhm.
if we're not conforming to the statute. So
Okay.
that's why, you know, we need to make sure that this is in fact an eligible activity. Otherwise, it's going to get shot down, and
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
and-
I think that's the way we need to proceed.
Right. And the advantage to reaching out to the coalition also is that it's not just the statute, but also any relevant case law. And Stuart would know about that and be able to direct it.
Okay,
But so at this point, I would be willing to accept the motion to accept on a contingent basis the eligibility of the submitted determination about a townwide knotweed plan.
So moved.
I'll second.
I don't know who seconded that. There was a whole bunch of you.
Cliff.
Okay.
Cliff gets
I
a
seconded it.
second.
All right. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to a vote. Farrell,
Aye.
Geddes,
Aye.
Reed,
Aye.
Wilson,
Aye.
Leo,
Aye.
and Gallo. Aye. All right. Thank you all.
Thanks, Mary Jo and Pam.
Yeah, thank you all for all the work you're doing on this. I really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you very much. All right.
Because
We have one more determination of eligibility, correct? This was sent regarding a feasibility study for the construction of pickleball courts. Steve, do you want to tell us briefly about this?
Yes, I mean, well, we took the committee's recommendations from from the Q&A we had a couple of weeks ago, and made it a feasibility study and to look at town sites and also to consider the possibility of a multi-sport court as well, because that might make it more usable for all the town members. So basically the feasibility study is to hire, we got an initial quote from Design, $5,000 for the study. So that we would look at the available town sites, we look at the access for it, drainage, and any conflicts with existing town activities to get an estimate of a construction cost. So that's what the study is for, and hopefully you will find it acceptable.
Yep. I mean, thank you especially again for the for pointing to the specific items in the preservation plan that this would fall under. Thank you for considering the multi-sport aspect of it. Even though I know there's an irresolvable feud between tennis players and pickleball players, apparently. I do think that, that might serve the application going forward, especially at a town meeting. I don't know. Any comments or remarks from the committee?
Steve, I just missed who gave you the quote. Did you say Berkshire Design?
Berkshire Design, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
They were the company that did the feasibility study for Northampton, and also one of the partners in the company is a big pickleball player.
That helps.
I understand pickleball is quite the rage these days.
Yeah, it's the fastest growing sport in America, and right now the fastest growing group is young people, 18 to 30, 30 or 40. So, people think of it as a senior sport, and that's a lot of us seniors play it. But it is growing very rapidly, like other age groups as well.
It may mean new converts to the sport.
Yes.
Well, thanks for putting this into the feasibility study as per our conversation previously. But I think it makes a lot of sense going through and addressing those questions first and tackling that, and then beyond that, assuming everything works out, that then the next phase of it can be pursued. So thank you for putting it in this clear, concise form.
Yeah. And identifying a specific, I think that alone, identifying a specific location is going to be essential before going to
Yeah.
the phase.
Yeah. And getting agreement among all the active players and those locations.
Yeah.
Not just the pickleball players.
Right. Oh yeah.
Community, the people who live around it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve the determination of eligibility for the pickleball courts.
Plan.
Seconded.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to a vote. Farrell,
Aye.
Geddes,
Aye.
Reed,
Aye.
Wilson,
Aye.
Leo.
Aye.
All right. Thank you all very much. That concludes.
Mateo, you weren't voting?
Oh, Pangallo, aye. Sorry.
Good catch, Cliff.
Good etiquette says the chair should go last. I just forgetting myself. I'm so self-effacing and humble. All right. Thank you all very much. Thank you to those of you who submitted the determinations of eligibility for this year. We look forward to reading your grant applications.
Yeah.
We will proceed now to item 3 on the agenda, which is the disposition of unused CPA grant funds. So you saw in an email, an informational email that I sent, that I was reaching out to these 4 different projects that still exist in the town ledger book, but are either, I think, complete, or in the case of the Old Town Hall project, apparently, judging from the only email response that I got from the contact people I reached out to, just not going forward at all. I think even if the Old Town Hall project were going forward, my desire would be for an updated application, since it's been, I think, 6 years or something since that was prepared, and I imagine the project and costs and everything associated with it has probably changed significantly in the ensuing more than half decade. So I received nothing from any of the other contacts about these projects. I did speak to Gail, to the town accountant, about how this works, because my assumption was that we would need a vote at town meeting to unappropriate or move the money back. She informed me, however, that it would only take a vote of the committee, of our committee, to close out those specific accounts, in which case any unused balance in those accounts would go back to the account that it was authorized from at town meeting. So if it came out of, for example, the CPA open space recreation account, it would go back into that one. Or alternatively, we could ask town meeting to transfer unused balances to another specific CPA grant article, which seems a little more complicated and unnecessary to me. I would love to hear the feedback from the rest of the committee. My sense is what I would like to do is, with this information, reach out again to the contact people for these projects and give them a hard deadline before our January meeting and say, this is what the committee is going to do. We're going to vote at our January meeting to close these accounts if we don't hear from you otherwise, with a reason why they should remain open with the balances in them. Does that make sense?
Yes, I definitely support that. And one of the questions I had, and you've answered it, that were these funds set aside so they're not reflected in the current balances, because anticipating that there were projects in the works that money was not available. So it sounds as though the money would be returned to those funds and become available. And I think that, particularly based on what we've seen tonight with the number of applications for eligibility for funding for the application, that there's a lot of interest in their potential projects out there, and to free this money up, if it's not going to be used for other projects, that it's making it available for other projects in town that can then move forwards. So I think the strategy is good in giving them one more chance and making it clear that we're looking to close these out.
Matteo, I was under the impression, and this just goes back a ways, because we dealt with this a number of years ago, but I was under the impression that we had to go back to town meeting. And because they were town meeting votes to appropriate the money, or designate the money, it wasn't appropriate. It doesn't come from taxation, it comes from the CPA fund. But let me look back through my,
I'm pretty sure we did have to do that.
We
yeah.
did that with the North Cove
Yeah.
project.
And I thought we had legal counsel. I thought that we had, whether it was maybe from Donna. Do you remember, Elaine?
I don't remember, but
Okay.
I know that we took it back to town meeting, and I think that even though it gets more cumbersome. I think that's the best way to do it, even if we are allowed to take it back. I think
Yeah,
we need to be very open about it.
transparent. Yeah,
And, you know, maybe at our January meeting, we would vote to request that it gets put on a town meeting.
and we
Or
might
So-
be able to do it in one article, just
Right.
reclaiming this
Yep.
because,
reclaiming funds.
yeah,
Mhm.
So this was when I asked Gail about this, that was my
Yeah.
question. Or was
yeah.
specifically, should this be one article or should this be 4 separate articles, one for
Uh-huh.
each accounts? And she said, you don't need to go to town meeting. You can just vote in the town.
Mm.
Well, I think we heard something different, so we should probably verify it.
I can go back and look to see what the advice was that we got from Donna about the North
Yeah.
Code.
Yeah, okay,
Okay,
that would be great.
Good. Yep.
Yeah, and then we could do that. I think, yeah, doing it at our January meeting would make a lot of sense, especially if we were, if we had to go back to town meeting, we could just get that taken care of. At that meeting.
It's gonna be a fun annual town meeting if we have 4 articles to close old CPA accounts and 5 grant requests.
Yeah, go CPA.
I have another one from the historical commission. So yeah, that's
Take from one hand and give to the other, right?
well, very active, very active.
Mateo,
it's
was one
great.
of those to the Conservation Commission?
So there was the trail consultant for Southbrook.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was the Conservation
I
Commission or
thought
not.
that was open space.
I think that was open space. Lake Wyola was open space.
Oh, okay.
West Cemetery, Hearst House was historic, and Old Town Hall structural repairs was historic to the building committee.
And it's a new building committee, so, yeah.
I just know Penny's come to the Concom a lot and talked to us about the trails at Southbrook. And I thought there was like about it when we talked about having that $1,000. And I do think people are still thinking of using it, I guess.
I mean, I'll reach out again to her. She didn't respond.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm asking, whether the Conservation Commission should, or it sounds like maybe it's the Open Space Committee, or maybe it's just Penny should just respond.
Yeah.
I
Penny.
can. Okay.
Okay, well then I will hold off on doing anything more until I've checked with legal counsel what we're supposed to do. Okay. Are there any other comments on that?
And you said that for the Old Town Hall, you got in touch with Bob Groves?
Yes. So I emailed Bob Groves because his name was on the application as the contact person, as was the buildings committee. So I emailed both the buildings committee and Bob Groves. I never heard back from the buildings committee. I heard back from Bob Groves saying that he had washed his hands of that and walked away from it. And that money, that's the one that the other 3 have been drawn down significantly and used. That project never even started.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Mary Jo, did you?
Yeah, the building committee actually talked about that last night. And said that that project wasn't feasible. So I don't know, Steve will probably, Steve's pretty good at getting back to you, so probably he will.
Okay. I mean, that would be great because that's $34,000 of historic preservation
Yeah.
funding, and we do use the historic preservation and the open space funding quite a bit. All right. If there are no other comments on that, I do have one last little bit of business. So our January meeting is scheduled for Thursday, January 16th, and I am unavailable that night. So we can either, the committee can meet that night. This is to answer questions from potential applicants. The committee can meet without me and someone else can step up as acting chair, or we can move to a different night if people are available.
The only other person who would be able to answer all of the questions would be Rita, so
We'll move. the meeting.
Bravely,
I
bravely
can't
done.
answer any more questions.
No more responsibility.
No more. I've reached my quota. My
Does-
question quota.
All right. Does Wednesday the 15th work?
No, I can't come the 15th or the 16th, actually.
Okay.
And the 14th is probably a select board meeting.
It's
Yeah.
a library building committee meeting.
I can't do
How
the
about the 13th? The Monday.
13th is a planning board meeting, so
Oh.
I could feasibly be absent for that and wear my land use clerk hat retroactively, take minutes from the YouTube video. But I would want to check with Nathan before doing that.
And when did the applications due?
February 6th.
I'm sorry, February 6th? Oh,
Yes.
okay. So either we do it the week before, it's kind of too late to do it the week after. People have questions. So we do have to do it like the 7th, 8th, 9th.
The 9th is Concom. The 8th is also a planning board for some reason.
My God. Oh, I know why. The
Oh, it's the, yeah.
prep.
So, okay.
Finish your sentences. We don't know why.
Oh, it's the prep for the mediation on the solar
Oh,
litigation.
Okay.
Would it, okay. Rather than keep you all past the 1
Could we
hour,
meet earlier? Could we meet at 6 o'clock before your planning board meeting?
On which day?
On our regular, when we were already scheduled to meet?
well, so my conflict on the 16th is not,
Oh,
Plan-
right. That's right. Okay, never mind.
it's a different thing.
Okay.
You know what I can do is I can send out a doodle poll, which is a phrase I hate using.
If all else fails, I'll do it.
I'll see if there is another date within the January window.
Okay.
And I'll include 6 o'clock and 7 o'clock time slots. And if there's a time where it looks like we would have quorum, you know, this is not a meeting or voting on anything. This is a meeting to answer
Yeah.
questions from applicants. So it's not
I
hugely.
could probably manage it if, did you say, Beth, you can't come that night anyway, regardless?
Yeah, not the 15th or the 16th.
Okay. And is anybody else not available then? So we would know now. Let's see, 16.
So far, I'm available.
I'm
Okay.
available.
Work
Time
for me.
goes.
Okay. All right, yeah, why don't you see with the doodle poll, and then if it doesn't work, we'll just leave it at the 16th and I'll try to manage it.
Okay. So in the event that we meet on the 16th, is there a motion for Rita Farrell to serve as acting chair?
So moved.
You're all gonna pay.
Did enthusiastically.
Any discussion? Seeing none. Farrell,
Aye.
Geddes,
Aye.
Reed,
I
Wilson,
I
Leo. Oh, sorry.
That's me.
Italian CEO, Paleo,
Aye.
and Gallo. Aye. All right. It occurs to me that as chair, I could just appoint somebody acting chair. I don't have to take a vote. That's my authority. All right. I'm exhausted. Is there unanticipated business? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
so moved.
Second,
Any discussion? Seeing none. Farrell,
aye.
Geddes,
Aye.
Reed,
I.
Wilson,
I.
Leo,
Aye.
and Gallo. Aye. Thank you all.
Thank you, everybody. Good
Yeah.
night.
Good
night.
night.
Goodbye.